Root. Yes. Yes. Yes, radish and radical have the same root word. It means root. So I kind of love that detail too.
So that means radishes are radical.
They are. You know what? They're lit. View on watch page. Share. Copy. Send this to Calgary. Okay. Everybody, we should be approximately ready to go. Calgary, let me know when you have me. If you have me, I'm not sure if this is. That's not right. Okay. Hey, everybody. Just hoping this actually works. Through some, it is not currently wanting to work, so that's a thing. All right. It's working, or it's okay. There it is. Cool. It is working. I can stop worrying. Calgary, let me know when you have me. Just give me an emoji of nearly any kind. There's a few inappropriate ones. I think he knows which ones those are. You can use them, I guess, if you need to. I suppose I just want to. I'm more looking for validation, and I'm clearly okay with a little emoji abuse. It's fine. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Good. Who's scared? You don't have to tell me. I already know. How's it going? My name is Joel. I am one of the full-time web dev instructors here. So you will see a lot of me, but occasionally I will hide, so then you won't. You'll mostly see me also playing with dogs a lot. None of them are mine. I just like riling them up and handing them back to their masters. Yeah. Do we say masters anymore? I feel like we say owners or people, or occasionally fur parents. That's a whole thing. Yeah, fair enough. So, yeah. So this is your first breakout. Breakouts are going to be kind of smaller, or they're going to be shorter. They're going to be more like, generally speaking, a demonstration of something rather than a lecture. Yeah, and we are going to talk a bit about the course, and we're going to talk a bit about just some of the tools you'll use as a developer now that you are a developer. So, yeah, let's. All right, so we're going to talk quickly about the curriculum. And we're going to start by talking about kind of chronologically, and then we'll talk about the individual pieces. I think if I do that, I may have to move the camera. Yeah, if I. And then I'll mostly kind of stand here, but yeah, podium, right? Ha! Okay. So weeks 1 to 4. So week 1, we're going to be learning. You're going to be learning JavaScript. You're going to be working on the Node, like in Node, to actually run your stuff. But this is all about kind of learning to program. You guys have done a little bit with the prep course. We're going to be kind of solidifying some of that so that you can actually express yourselves with it. Second week, you're actually going to start building something. Oh, and yeah, and we have a mock test on Friday. We'll talk about what the test is like. Second week, you are going to build your first web app. And yeah, you're going to be using, it says MongoDB. It's actually not to the next week. I should fix that. But yeah, you'll be using the stuff that you learn in week 1 to actually make something, whereas week 1 is all a little bit like, it's kind of learning the phrases, and now you're writing speeches, writing poetry. I feel like it's writing poetry, personally. Week 3 is going to be front end, client-side JS, browsers, jQuery, HTML, CSS. So you're going to make pretty interactive thingies. Week 4, we're going to be you're going to be learning databases, relational databases, the SQL language, and how to talk to a database from your application. And then at the end, on the Wednesday of that, you're going to start your midterm. You're going to work for 5 days with people. And then when that's done, you are going to present as you saw this morning. That's going to be you. You are going to look that tired. That's sort of tired proud, where it's like you feel more proud because of the insanity brought on by how tired you are. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Oh, eventually someone's going to learn how to turn that into pillar powder form, and then we'll all be out of business. So that's going to be week 4. Week 5 is going to be computer science week. It's going to be a reading week. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So you can like kind of be in the space, but it's mostly going to be, you'll be out. You won't have mentor support the same way, although you can, if you really need to, you can ask questions on Slack, and that's cool. Yeah, but you're going to be learning about some more theoretical concepts, kind of taking what you've learned, taking the context of making things, and sort of just working them, just make that work. So yeah. So there's no mentor support. It's a remote week, full week of contact, minimum 8 hours a day. Then you're going to come back to week 6, and week 6 through 10 is basically weeks 1 through 4 again. You kind of do everything twice. So in weeks 1 through 4, we kind of teach you the basics of how to do everything, and then in these later weeks, it's more advanced ways to make bigger apps and kind of be more productive. Week 6, React. React is a framework for building front-end interaction. Week 7, you'll be learning a new general-purpose language. So everything up till now you'll have done in JavaScript. You'll be learning now Ruby and a framework called Rails for making server stuff. Week 8 is a little bit of automated testing in Ruby, and then you start your final project. From that point, every lecture will be an advanced lecture, which means that it will be, hey, we are all interested in learning this, and instructors will be like, well, I'm good at that, but also maybe they're like, and also this would be important for you to know. So it's going to be kind of whatever we bring. From time to time, we bring in guest lecturers who are good at certain things, and they will talk about their experience and things that they've learned, which is a pretty cool part of that. Week 9 is more of that. Final projects, advanced lecture. So week 10 is a remote week, so there's no more mentor support. Although if you need something, I'm sure someone can help. But by then you'll be kind of wrapping up stretch features and, putting some polish on your final project for demo day. That is the program. And then in the middle of that, week 5 is an intro to CS, to career services. A very confusing thing. We use CS sometimes to mean computer science and CS sometimes to mean career services, and you have to figure out from context which it means. It's like there, right? Or it's, or air, which like means 8 different things depending on context, right? So yeah, those are the weeks. So let's talk about the things. There are 4 evaluated projects. Did you have your hand raised? Well, no, it's cool. What's your story? What's your question? Right. Yeah. That's week 5. Yes. Right. So it'll be remote. I mean, we cover it. Okay, the question is, will we cover it in a lecture setting? Little column A, little column B, because we do want to, we are very much more practically minded, but we also want to give you the theory that helps you with the practical parts. So we sort of cover it by virtue of showing you the practical stuff and try to like get some of the theory behind it as we go. And a lot of times what we have found, especially with the bootcamp model and the sort of weirdos that it seems to attract, is that A lot of people just want to get things done. So it's easier to understand how the theory works once you see it in practice, which is kind of where we do things. But then, yeah, and there's more stuff that kind of follows after. But yeah, we do what we can. All right, week 2. So week 2, you're going to make a app called Tiny App. It'll be a Bitly clone. Who knows Bitly? We're all cool on Bitly, or goo.gl is a similar thing. So the idea is that someone puts in a long URL and you give them a short URL, and they can use that short URL to navigate to the long URL. That's going to have a lot of features. Week 3, you're going to make a Twitter clone called Tweeter. This is always a fun one to watch as a mentor because students will make it do different things. I've seen Shouter. I've seen, there was one cohort where they just all had different animals, and when you submitted a tweet, it would make a different animal sound, all of them. They just decided that would be a thing they would do. And none of them were birds. Week 4 is the midterm project, which you're going to do as a team. And the story there is, as you just saw earlier this morning, we're going to assign you into teams. We have just a super successful algorithm that may or may not involve darts. And we put people into teams, and then we just kind of watch. And then we give you a list of ones to pick from. You guys pick which one you want to do something with. And there's 7 options. They're all kind of different. They all have different things that you could learn. One hooks up to a lot of APIs if you want it. One hooks up to SMS and phones, which is kind of cool. Like not just a mobile device, but like actually uses, like sends phone, people who use the phone like this hand, like this, use this hand for phone, like that kind of phone. And then, yeah, there's a few different ones, different things that are cool. And you're going to work together as a team. We're going to give you the stack, like you're going to have a very specific stack that you're going to pick from. But yeah, and then you're going to work for 5 days. And it's going to be fine. You're all going to get along. It's going to be great. Week 6, there's going to be a Slack clone that you'll create called Chatty. So this will be a chance to actually make a real-time app with React. There's 2 unevaluated projects, which means that you submit them and they're done. We still every now and then kind of go through to sort of get a chance to see like how did they approach this, how are they doing. So there's a GitHub API client which basically says you put in a project and you get you download all the avatars of all the people who contributed, or the top 250 contributors or something to that effect. And then there's Jungle, which is the idea with that one is that you have most of an e-commerce app and it's your job now to maintain it. So you got to add some features to it and fix some bugs and that sort of thing. So, yeah. Okay, there are 4 tech interviews. Oh, the tech interviews. Oh, the anxiety I see around the tech interviews. There is no reason for anxiety in the tech interviews. What's going to happen is when you actually go to, who's had a job interview of some sort? Who talked to a person to get here? Right? So every now and then you have that job interview where it's like, you go in, you talk to the person, they're like, well, how would you, have you ever had to work with a difficult teammate? What did you do? Have you ever been, those sort of like culture fit personality questions. And then there is, for tech jobs, often a technical interview where they'll ask you technical questions. They'll either be like with a right or wrong answer, or they'll be sometimes where it's like, we have this problem, how would you fix it? Right? Makes sense? And it's mostly then about your approach. So we are doing these tech interviews to give you a chance to practice that. And then of course we take notes and you get feedback about like you should learn more about this. It's good to communicate about this. You do this really well. You could do more of this. That sort of thing. The weeks 2 and 3-1 are very much like the week 2 one especially is very much like there's a limited universe of correct answers. The further on you get in the interviews, the more it becomes very open-ended. It becomes, how would you solve this problem? How would you create this? How would you architect the solution? So, Yeah. And then there are also a chance to kind of get one-on-one coaching with a mentor, because it'll be a you and a mentor one-on-one for however long it takes. So, which is like can be 30 minutes to 40 minutes to an hour. But I would go in there. They're not a thing to sweat so much. They're a thing to kind of learn how to communicate what it is you do and don't know. So there's going to be quizzes. They are multiple choice in the first 4 weeks. Yeah, you have reattempts on those. I should find out more about the quizzes. I've been here a year and a half. All right. But there are quizzes. Keep on trying to go through them until you get them right. All right, big red slide. Big red slide. That's not really a red. It's kind of like a rich coral. Really more of a salmon. Yeah, on this screen it looks a bit like a piece. So there's an assessment test in week 2. It is just as important as the projects, no more, no less. We are required to test you. Like, for your certification to mean anything with the province. It's a whole thing. Or maybe with the country? Again, I'm sure they've told me. So we have a test, and the test will be it'll be a coding test. And the way it'll work is that you'll download the project, and you'll kind of connect, and then you will write code to cause unit tests to pass. And so there'll be a bit of software that runs your code, and when your code always gives the right output given certain input, you are done. And then also your code will have to fit certain styling things. Like they'll be like, if you're missing a semicolon, they'll be like, hey, put in a semicolon. If your indentation is wonky, they'll be like, hey, stop, right? And so you'll have to also clear up all of these errors. And then when you're done with that, you get you'll be done. So what we do is we give you there's a mock test on week 1, day 5. It's just a chance to sort of get through the experience of having the test. We give you an hour and a half kind of sitting there, but then you have the entire weekend to do it. And that starts, we're doing that on Friday. I think that might be me doing that with you guys. So this face, these reassuring, calming tones. We'll be guiding you through that process. And then we do it again on week 2, day 5 for realsies. And we'll, honestly kind of get set up earlier in the morning, and we will go through, what we'll do is we set aside 3 hours, and you'll do as much of the test in those 3 hours as you can. And if you don't have it done in those 3 hours, okay, you actually have until the start of lecture Monday to finish with 100%. It is important that you pass. It is a big part of like the criterion here. It is not something it's a weird kind of thing to say, because it's not something to take too seriously, but it is something to take somewhat seriously. So it's something that you need to finish, but it's also not something to be afraid of. You're going to get a chance to work on it through the weekend. You're going to see feedback that tells you what is happening, what expected and what actually is happening. And so the key will just be to meet its expectations, right? Every now and then I've had, oh, by the way, there'll be no mentor help on this one. Occasionally we'll be able to be like, I'll be able to give you technical assistance and be able to tell you like, oh, the test is broken, we'll fix that. Or it's like, actually, this is, you figure it out. But I've gotten occasionally like, hey, what should I do for this case? What if it's like this and this? And I'll be like, well, what is the test? Is there a test for that? And they're like, no. I'm like, then I don't care. Just doesn't matter. Somebody else's problem. Yeah. Mock test week 1, day 5. Real test week 2, day 5. Yeah, no mentor help. No helping each other with it. But the goal is to have 100%. Who came from a not computer science background, or a not engineering background, or a not? Okay, so my wife, who is smart and kind and nice, and also physically pleasant. She did political science, and I did computer science, and we joked about us two scientists. And so one of the funny things talking about our respective work, our respective courses, our respective like what we were doing, was that she could work like a long time, research every possible book, re-edit and edit and edit, and she was never going to get 100% on anything. I worked hard, but I got 100% all the time. Not because I was smarter. Don't tell her I said it was because I was smarter. It was just because in computer science, it's really easy to say like, well, does it do the thing it was supposed to do? It's actually easy to, with precision, to say like, this is that. There's never going to be like an ideal paper on government structures in Venezuela in the 70s, right? There's never going to be like a perfect, like that doesn't happen. So yeah, this is sort of, we have this expectation of quote unquote perfection, but it's actually quantifiable and accessible, available. Like you can actually get there, right? So I don't want the 100% to freak you out in terms of like maybe, like, but what if I'm not perfect? It's not about being perfect. It's about like, we have really clear criteria and you'll know exactly what you need to do to pass them. So, all right. And so our evaluation is based on your kind of completion of the assignments, code reviews, tech interviews, project evals, quiz answers, test answers, assistances. In every educational setting that you've probably been in, they kind of start you out with 100% and they start just dinging you over time, right? You just slowly lose points. You start out with 100% of your soul and then sort of lose it as time goes on. 100% of your self-confidence. Maybe you'll get 80% of your self-confidence out. That's fine. What we are assuming is that we started you with nothing and that we are building a skill set over time. Like a little bit. There's a little smidgen. But yeah, we are trying to build you and your skill set. In other educational institutions, they're kind of like focused on your weaknesses. Here, we're really focused on helping you achieve your strengths. One of the things I will definitely say about this as we talk about evaluation is that it is useless to compare your insides with other people's outsides. You may see someone who is just blaring ahead of you today. So what I would tell you is that two things. One is that they are blaring ahead of you today. They are going to have their week. And you're going to have your week where it's like, oh, this makes sense. And then sometimes everyone's going to have different times that they're like, I've heard it so much where it's like, oh, me and this person, we were totally going together, and then she took off, but I'm still here, and why? It's just the day. It's just what it is. It's any combination of things, but the main thing is that you can't judge yourself by that. It's just you against the course. It's just you against the milestones, and if you're falling behind the milestones, but if you're behind by the same amount every day, then you're keeping up, and you have a chance to catch up. And at some point, it's going to make more sense, and it's often not very linear. It's like work, get a thing, work, get a thing. The second thing to note is that not everybody's going to be good at everything. The world of web development covers a lot of stuff. It covers data, it covers queries, it covers user interface, it covers user experience, it covers accessibility, it covers interaction, it covers animation, it covers cryptography, it covers the transfer of tiny bits over wires, right? It covers mathematics. It covers algorithms. It has stuff from games and typography and language and time zones. Effing time zones, people. So there's a lot of stuff. And if you feel like, if you have a hard time with this, then one of the things you can do is get really good at one part of it, or get better than the few people around you at one part of it. If you are going and you find a part that's like, oh man, this vibrates the frequency of my inner crystal, this totally is my thing, then good. That might be a thing where you can kind of just hit the ground running and go. Yeah. Thank you. The two of you. All right. So, yeah, as you're going, by the way, if you just ever need a moment, I feel like I'm now being too reassuring. But if you ever need a moment, by the way, to just kind of feel like what am I doing? What's going on? How is my plan to get out of here? Am I doing okay? What should I be doing? That sort of thing. If you ever have those questions, you can actually just Slack me and talk to me, and we can grab a coffee, or we can just have a quick chat, and we can have. If you have a question about approach and stuff that's kind of bigger than a mentor assistance really allows for, something that doesn't really fit on the queue, please feel free to come find me. Please feel free to talk to the education management team. You can talk to me in particular. You can talk to anyone that you've made a connection with, and the instructors. You can talk. You can we are here. If you think they don't want to know that I'm having a hard time, we want to know you're having a hard time. We want you to know that it's okay for you to be having a hard time. We want to know if you are having a really good time. If you're having a day where it's like, this is awesome, what do I do next? We're going to be like, cool, nerd, let's do it. Whatever it is that you want to talk about or build up or work through or anything like that, please, 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 please let me know. It's actually kind of being able to interact with people one-on-one is one of my favorite parts of this job. So, life as a dev. 26 minutes. Calgary still hasn't given me an emoji. Even the poop emoji? You guys couldn't even muster a poop emoji? Ugh, all right, fair enough. Cool. All right, so dev tools. You're going to be using your computers in very different ways than you used your computers a bit ago. Yeah, so you guys have used Sublime Text. Probably got that Sublime Text running. I am not using Sublime Text myself. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So I personally use an IDE called VS Code. You'll see some people using something called Atom. The point of the tools isn't that you should be working with better tools, like my tools are better than yours and therefore blah. Like these are really great. VS Code's really awesome for me because like here's my files and then there's my code and then ta-da, there's my command prompt. Ooh, and I can write things and I can find files really quickly. But whatever you're using, it's going to have, there's a lot of them that have the same functionality. If you want to kind of get started on one of these IDEs, that's cool. If you're using Sublime Text and you're cool with it, also awesome. If you have any questions about how to make your Sublime Text better, you can either Google it or you can ask someone. There's a lot of plugins for it. This is the one I use. It's called VS Code. One of the things that's very common is Command P or often Control P. You're used to it printing, but here it actually opens files. So, for instance, there's the breakout MD file that I have in this folder. Helps me find that. One thing I often use is Command Shift F or Control Shift F. This is common in IDEs. It finds anything. So if I'm looking for, I saw this one thing in a code where it says LHL, and I wonder where else in my code LHL came up. Oh, there it is. This will give me a search for that. It searches through all the files in this folder. Right. You're probably used to you've gotten a chance to kind of play with the command line. Who feels comfortable navigating through with that command line, huh? Yeah, a couple of people, a little bit, getting used to it. So I will say that I came to Lighthouse as a Windows guy, Windows dude, Windows person, Windowsian. Yeah, a Windowsy, a window licker, huh? It took a bit. And I did dent it, which wasn't nice for how well it's treated me. So better than I treated it, I guess. What was happening? Not last winter, but the winter before that, it was icy. I fell, and my Mac was there to support me. It was, so that's somehow from my butt. Just in case you're wondering. All right. So let's talk a little bit about bash commands, some of the common ones. So these will work on Mac and Linux. One common one I use, of course, is cd. cd is change directory. cd is change directory. So I can cd a dot dot. That goes dot dot is one up, right? So now I'm in the August 27, 2018 folder. Oh my gosh, that's you guys. And then I'm going to cd back to week 1 tab for, and tab will often fill in a file or folder thing. Week 1, day 1. Cool, cool, cool. There's ls, which is sort of list stuff.
Is it subdirectory?
It's probably subdirectory, but stuff is funnier and more memorable. So if I say ls, it'll tell me what's in there. Oh, look, there's breakout.md. Now, I can add a few flags onto this. If you guys have seen flags, so I'm going to add the L, which kind of like gives me more information on each piece. And the A gives me like everything in it, even if it has a dot before it. So often .get or .get ignore will get ignored. Yeah, that sentence compiled. But this will help see it. But sometimes you won't see it, and this will help. So yeah, that's list stuff. I'll often use touch to create an empty file. So I could say here touch. Actually, first I also want to show how to make a directory. mk dir for directory. Directory? Dir. Make directory. So here I'm going to make directory, and I can give it a name. If I want to have spaces in that name, I should probably use the single quotes or the double quotes. So I'm just going to call this project, and then I can touch project/index.html. If I want to just see the contents of a file printed out to the terminal, I can use cat. So if I said cat breakout md, there's what it is so far. If I save this and said breakout md, oh, more stuff. And then I can use rm to delete a file, and then rm-rf delete a directory. Now, that's not how you spell careful. That's not. Be careful. Because you can end up, make sure you have the name of the directory there, otherwise you'll just delete everything in the folder you're in. And that will be bad. No one wants that. So yeah, the R is for recursive, the F is for force. Or something to that effect. It's a good question, I wonder what it is. And that brings me to the next command. Man. Man rm. So man is for manual. So if I say man and then the name of the command for all these bash commands, it'll give me a manual on how it works. Yada, yada, yada. Stuff, and things. So the F is, attempt to remove the files without prompting for confirmation. If the file does not exist, do not play diagnostic message. And then R is, well, dash big R, yeah, is recursive. All right. And by the way, if you find yourself going through some text or some stuff like that, and you got that colon below, and you're like, how do I get away? Just Q will do it. It's a Vim mode. All right. CDLS touch, make dir, cat, rm, rf. As you go along, you'll be able to like get more utilities of your own that you'll put on to like make this more fun. For instance, lolcat, which prints it out as a rainbow. Let's see it again. Yeah. Well, I downloaded it. Well, it's a Ruby. So yeah, you can get more command line interfaces. As time goes on, you'll be using you'll be doing a lot of stuff from your command line. So you'll like having more of this. Yeah, or like okay, so that would be Cowsay. And often you'll be able to, for some of these, say dash help, and it'll have like, oh, this is the help stuff for that, a little more stuff. Yarp. So it's gone too far. Okay, so this is slightly fatuous, but yeah, you'll get used to your command line after a while. You'll be going command line crazy. Okay, so bash commands, it kind of follows what we're doing. Git workflow. All right, so who can tell me what Git is? It's a repository. All right. It's version control, right? So Git is a version control system. Words that you will. The words version control system is something you will never hear outside of the quick intro to Git, and you'll see it in job descriptions that you know were then written by human resources. Yeah, it's a version control system. So the idea is that it's sort of Git is a time machine for code. The idea is that you'll be able to, if you're using Git responsibly, you'll be able to save versions of your code as you go. And what Git does, quite fantastically, is that rather than saving the entire, this is what your entire code looks like, it'll be able to save just the changes, you know? You'll be able to save like, oh, you changed this one line, did this. And we'll be able to keep track of who last touched that line, or who's responsible for that line. So, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is go back here, and I'm going to say cd project, to change directory to project, and I am going to start a Git project, or Git repo. This is going to be a local repo. It's just on my machine for now, but then I'll be able to push it to the mothership. So I'm going to say git init. Initialize empty Git repository in /user/Jolshina/desktop/lighthouse/August 27, 2018. Oh my gosh, that's you guys, /week 1, day 1, /project/.git. Do you see a .git here? No. Yeah, it's one of those hidden ones. So I could say ls-al, and there's my .git. I could also say rm-rf.git, and what'll that do? That'll delete the .git, and then, if you'll notice in a moment, come on. Come on. You're embarrassing me, you guys. There's no more changes to be made. Maybe there's a higher Git. I don't know. But let's... Good. All right, so let's do this again. Git init. Okay, so I've initialized an empty Git repository. I'm going to say Git status. I can always say Git status to see where I am. And here's what it is I am on branch master. Now, before I got to Lighthouse, I knew about Git, and I'd worked with Git before, but I'd always use this thing called SVN. Or like the companies I'd work for use SVN, and I'm like, we should use Git, you guys. And that's how long ago it was. That's how my voice sounded. And the thing with SVN was that you're always kind of coding, there's this one branch, and it was just change on top of change on top of change on top of change. right? Git has this thing where it branches, which means that I can be actually like making changes and submitting changes to code, and people can be reviewing it, and I can be doing stuff even if it's not stable, even if it's not ready to be pushed to production yet. And it's just like more and more and more code kind of goes off in this one branch, and I can build branches off of those branches and do more stuff, and then we eventually kind of bring them back and merge them into master. Well, I wonder what that's like. Let's see. So right now I'm on the master branch, which is basically like if this were a tree, it'd be the trunk. You can think of it that way. So I have this untracked file. I have no commits yet. Untracked file index.html. So what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to put git status here. So to add to a branch. So I'm just going to add this to the master branch. This will be my initial commit. I'm going to say git add. And git add is not enough. I have to say what I'm adding. So I'm going to add git index.html. All right. Cool. Now if I go git status, see if you can notice the subtle difference. Ooh. It's green. It's minty fresh is what it is. Right? So we've added that. I can remove that addition. I can delete the file. I can say before I commit, like, oh, actually, I should really put something in that. I should start this somehow. In fact, come to think of it, I might make it just index.md. Yeah, that's better. Git status. Well, I deleted index.html and added index.md. Well, git add. All right, so that's my, I haven't committed it yet, so it's just like, okay, let me know. I'm just keeping track of this. Just let me know kind of what you think is different. If I say git diff, right now it has nothing, but if I say git diff dash dash, or actually, if I say git diff right now and just say like index file, I'll be able to see what changes are actually being made. And what it says is, hey, we added a line called index file. All right, git add. Now I have no git diff. Index file was a stupid name. Git diff. Oh, I've removed that line index file and I've added the line index file was a stupid name. Yeah, within the files, yeah.
If it's not a text file.
If it's not a text file, it'll show you it, but it might be messy. All right. Yep. Right. Yep. Oh, this is a good time. I can git rm. Right? Has staged content from the, okay, so git status, git add, git rm, indexmd. Git rm, indexmd dash f. And now I think it just deleted it from the project entirely. Yeah, git rm is removed. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to say, so I can use cache to keep the file or F to force the removal. So if I did this and said git add. Now I haven't done a commit yet, but I'm not afraid of commitment. So let's do this. And I'm going to say introduction. My git status says I have a no file. It says everything is going to be added. If I say git diff, well, it doesn't show with that. But if I say git diff with the dash dash cached, then that shows me what the difference is between this and the previous commit, which is, of course, nothing. The null commit, the empty commit. So now I'm ready I'm ready to commit. And I'm saying -m to say I'm going to put a message here. And my message is going to be initial commission. Okay. So now my git status is that I have nothing. I have nothing to commit. My working tree is clean. So git add. We covered git rm. We covered git diff. And git diff is just, okay. Yeah. Yes. The question is, if I git add and I git add file, oh, thanks, Max. I appreciate that poop emoji. Yeah, if you git add and then you change that file, you have to git add again before you commit. And if you try to commit with stuff, it usually is good about being like, hey, but not always. So just make sure you do git status before you commit. Lets you know what you're committing. All right, so now I get status nothing. Okay, let's do, yes, your question. After I've committed. You realize that commit was bad. You want to uncommit it. Not right now. I will. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I get there. Okay. There's good tutorials and stuff on the subject. It can be done, but I want to kind of get through the regular, if you did things right way. All right. So now let's branch. Making branches. So making a branch is pretty quick. If you do git branch by itself, it'll let you know what branches you have available here. So you can also say the git branch name. Let's say that we are going to initial text. That's the name of the branch, right? So that branch exists, but I'm not on it. To go to that branch, I have to say git checkout initial text. And now I'm there. I can say git branch. You'll see that if I say git branch, it means that it says initial text. If I say git status, it says, hey, you're on branch initial text. A couple of ways to check for that. So let's make some initial text here. Introduction. First things first. Hello. I am a noble paragraph. Even if it is poorly spelled. Okay, git status, modified index.md. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add. Now, if I decided, actually, I want to go back to the way that was. Oh, that was stupid. I'm so dumb. I just can't believe I wrote that. I can say really quick, hey, okay, git checkout -- just that file, and it'll go right back to that. But let's actually do that. Hi, everyone. Okay. Git status, git add index.md, git status, cool, git commit, added initial words. Okay. Now, if I go, now that this is committed, and now that I have nothing left to commit, if I go git checkout master, you'll notice that's gone. Okay, so now if we have a branch and we keep on going with it, I can go right back to it, by the way. Check out initial text. There it is. Okay, so all of my work is now being saved on this one branch. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have let's say for a moment that, should I do the online stuff? Should I do the online part of it now? Should I do the conflict stuff now? Let's get conflicted. All right. I'm going to go back to get checkout master. I'm going to go get branch. Now, the branch is a branch off master. If I had been on initial text and said get branch something, it would be a branch off initial text. So it's a branch off of whatever branch you're on now when you say that. So get branch other text. And here I'm going to say other things first. Yo, this is some text. Sorry about the yo. I heard it and it didn't sound quite right coming out of this stupid face. Okay. Yes. I'm not committing the branch, I'm creating the branch. Yeah, with no initial commits. Did I? Oh, for the love of God. Okay. And now here's another thing. Like, let's say that I'm writing a bunch of stuff and be like, oh no, I'm supposed to do this on this other branch. Right? I'm supposed to do stuff. If I look at get status here, I have that index. Well, I can quickly, before I add anything, I can say get checkout other text. And then get status. Oh, it's still there. Thank the Almighty. In whatever forms he, she, or it may take. Then I can say get commit added text. Cool. Well, now it's time for me to go back to master. And let's just assume that these were two branches made by two different people. And let's merge them in. Okay, get merge initial text. Cool. Now this reflects all the work I did on initial text, right? Get, that's not where that goes. Get merge other text. Oh no. There's a conflict. I accidentally wrote, don't save. Let's take a look at that. Oh, there's a conflict, everyone. And why was there a conflict? Well, because I wrote stuff all in the same place. I tried to overwrite it. So here's the thing that this is a bad thing. This is not a thing that I wanted to have done, right? So what I'm going to do, I can make decisions here. One of the easiest ways to deal with this is that I can just sort of, I can decide what I like. Well, I can say that I did. Maybe I'm going to say, yo, everyone. This is some text. That's sort of better. This is a good merging of this text. First things first, and also other things, right? So I can decide how I'm going to combine these two ideas together to make sense. Get status, both modified. Okay, get add index.md, get commit, fixed, merge, conflict. Okay, and now this is perfectly fine. Huzzah. So the thing I really should have done, whenever I have a branch and want to merge it into master, and I'm not sure if master is at where it was when I branched off, the best thing to do is this. So we're on master. I'm going to say get branch other new branch, get checkout new branch, and here I'm just going to say stuff and things. Just some nonsense. What I'm going to do is this. I'm on the branch. I'm going to make sure I have the most recent master by saying get merge master. Well, and we'll get to what we do if we are on a branch that has an online that people are pushing to. First, I'll pull the master from online. There's no repository, so I guess that's fine. And then I'm going to say git merge master. I'm already up to date, so that's fine. But this is, by saying merge, at least I know that in my branch, it has all the conflicts there. And then I can resolve the conflicts myself, make them what they should be, and then go back to master and merge them in. So now when I go back to check out master, git merge, is it new branch? Yep. And now they are merged together. That's not right. Yes, it is right. Haha. Ha 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 ha. Done. Donezo. Yeah. So now everything kind of reflects. Everything is ready to be kind of merged with master. Everything works the way it's supposed to. We have some safety that everything is there. Putting things online is pretty simple. So I'm going to go github.com/JoelCodes. I'm going to go to my repositories, most of which are lecture nonsense. I'm going to create more lecture nonsense. Come on. There you are. Come on, new. Figure it out. All right. Og 27/18, week 1, day 1. Description. Demo. Git repo. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating an online Git repo, and I'm going to unite these two. It's public. I'm not starting with anything because I'm good. And now this says, look, if you have an existing repository on your own machine, all you have to do is, this line says to add a remote, git remote. So if I went down here and said git remote, remote-v, there'd be no remote. So here I'm going to say git remote add origin, yada, yada, yada. And now when I say git remote-v, oh, it links to something online. So if I say git push, well, it's going to say like, well, what branch? You only really push one branch at a time, not the whole thing. Well, I'm going to say I want to push master. Okay, cool. Master has been pushed, which means that when I go back to this site and reload it, ooh, and I have a list of 4 commits. Fixed a merge conflict, added text, put things together, right? And now I have a history of all the changes I made. Yeah. There's more that you can do with Git. There's so much more you can do with Git. But I find that these are the things I do most often. I want everybody. I want eye contact from as many people as I can. Just want to make sure we're all awake and in the room. If you remember nothing, Carl, that's some good eye contact. That's good. Aphrodite, eye contact. That's all right. All right. Please, if you were doing commits to master, doing coding commits to master, it's okay to do a couple to set up your stuff, right? Hey, we're just setting up things. A couple of things to start with, but bam. But when you have more features to add, when you have more things to add, make branches. Don't code on master. Generally speaking, I don't know, I didn't get to be here for all the midterms. Did you hear any of them be like, don't code on master? That's usually the one like, what would you do differently? Don't code on master. And I know a few in this group were like, you don't code on master, man. Don't code on master. It's going to be like when you're doing your own kind of projects, as you're going, the really small ones, okay, it's not going to cause you as many problems. The larger the project, the bigger the chance of calamity is. The more code you write, the more chance of calamity you're going to get from coding on master. So don't do it if possible. Yeah. So that is Git. That's some command line tools. That's the curriculum. Are there any questions? Are there too many questions to even start with? Is that the thing? All right. Well, I try to be comprehensive while still being accessible. Yo. The commits over time. Yeah. XKCD git. Who doesn't know what XKCD is, by the way? Okay, so it is a comic of sarcasm, math, and language, and they keep on saying things about developer life that I'm like, oh, they get it. This is Git. It tracks collaborative work on projects through a beautiful distributed graph theory tree model. Cool, how do you use it? No idea. Just memorize these shell commands and type them to sync up. If you get errors, save your work elsewhere, delete the project, and download a fresh copy. There's also another one, XKCD git commits. As a project drags on, my git commit messages get less and less informative. Created main loop and timing control. Enabled config file parsing. Miscellaneous bug fixes. Code addition edits. More code. Here have code. My hands are typing words. Hands. Merge branch into SQL final.
Do you actually have any tips on that? Because I started that. Yeah.
So, okay, tips on git commit messages. It's a good question. Your git commit messages, ideally, and you'll get better at this as time goes on. I am getting better at this as time goes on. Your git commit messages should be as terse as possible, as short as possible, but to still convey everything that I see. If I look through your changes, I should see no change, ideally, that isn't connected to the git commit. And the best thing would be that your commit message has one thing. So if you have a message that says like added form validation, everything I see should be somehow adding form validation. Should be about that. If I see something that's like, there'll be miscellaneous bug fixes. That's always, or like they'll be like fix this bug, but try to make them, oh, I fixed that bug and I committed it. Commits are actually free. You don't like pay 10 cents a commit or anything like that, right? So they're free. Feel free to use them. I would rather go through too many commits than not enough. Is it not best practice then to add all? Oh, that's a good question. Right. If the things that you see in your Git status are exactly the files that relate to what you've done, add them. That's fine. There is some control in some of the Git tools that are like built into IDEs to like, oh, I want to save this and I want to save this and I want to save this. A thing I found out Thursday. But yeah, you can like save specific things. I've had that do that from time to time where I've had to go back and be like, okay, actually I want to have one commit that's about this thing and I want to have one commit that's about this thing. And it takes some, yeah, you have to be kind of careful and you have to remember like, oh shoot, committing, yeah. But yeah, when I used to work on SVN stuff, I was terrified. I was a check-in chicken because you have to commit stuff and then everything would break and they'd be like, why aren't you like checking in on SVN? It's just like, because if I do, everything will explode. So like, oh, you have a lot of files that you haven't checked in. I'm like, yes, because explode. That's how that. So, oh, lots of places still do. Lots of places use a lot of things that I would rather not use, and that's why I don't work there. A lot of places, yeah. Git is. Okay, that's a good question. Git usage statistics. Here's 2016. Apparently, Git seems to be, I don't know what this thing means. Git didn't beat SVN, GitHub did. Okay, and by the way, there's a difference between GitHub and Git. GitHub is an online site for, it's a Git server. It's like a place where you can put online Git repos, but there's lots of other ones. There's GitLab, there's Bitbucket, there's at least those two. And there's more than that. You may have a company that has their own Git server. Like it's just a thing. I had a remote, and that was just a thing pointing somewhere. So GitHub is the most popular Git repo server, but it's not the only one. And there are often features that I want that GitHub won't give me, and I don't use GitHub for those things. But I often, especially my lecture code, I often share. Or just my personal projects. Yeah, sure, why not? All right? All right. Cool. No doubt. All right.